Hey everybody, what's going on? NGS back again on a different channel this time around. This channel is known as Deconstructive Criticisms. What this channel is going to be used for, it's mainly going to be me along with PathofJioFreed, who is also here in this video. Say hello, Path.
Hello.
Basically, what we're going to be using this channel for, essentially movie news, movie updates, mainly stuff that we're trying to get out and give our thoughts on as quick as possible without doing emergency podcasts, if you want to say. So bear with us because we are going to be very rusty at this. We're still trying to work out the kinks on what we want to do in terms of format for this channel. So there you go. But of course, what better way to christen a brand new YouTube channel than to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man?
Oh, indeed. Got some interesting bits of news here. We already have some confirmations about the movie sequel, that is. We have confirmed that we are going to have Harry Osborn appearing in the movie, played by Dane DeHaan. We have Shailene Woodley playing Mary Jane Watson, and we have, of course, Jamie Foxx confirmed to be playing Electro. But we have some more news that has just come up recently in regards to some more characters who may be appearing. Apparently, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Paul Giamatti is actually in talks to play the Rhino.
A lot of things to say regarding this. First and foremost, I want to talk about Paul Giamatti as an actor. I've seen a couple of films that he's done over the past, and honestly, I gotta say, as an actor, I think he's pretty good.
Oh, definitely. He's got a pretty interesting range. He's been able to play some really creepy parts and play some really over-the-top goofy parts and play some serious dramatic roles. Especially if you've ever seen him in that John Adams miniseries. He was incredible there.
Oh, I have not.
So, oh man, I actually bought that. But yeah, that he's a very good actor. He can get into part pretty easily. He's from what I've heard, he's also a lot of fun too. So he doesn't take anything 100% too seriously. But that's neither here nor there. The key, though, one of the reasons that I'm actually very okay with this is because he's actually gone on record even before this came up, apparently, saying that when he was a kid, he used to read the Spider-Man comics when he was a kid, and he used to just think Rhino was the coolest thing ever. And so, and he definitely liked a lot of the aspects of the character and the fact that while he does seem kind of straightforward, he's also got some layers to him, and he definitely has a passion for this character. He's definitely a fan of it, so I think it'll be pretty interesting to see what he does with him.
Out of the stuff I've seen Paul Giamatti do, I've seen Cinderella Man, Sideways, and what was the other thing? I think he was in some small thing in Doctor Dolittle. I don't know. It's just all coming back. But yeah, like him playing the Rhino, I don't know. I mean, I have no issue with it whatsoever. But it's going to be interesting to see, because this ties into a whole different point altogether, in regards to them bringing in another villain. Now, there's been a lot of talk from people here on the interwebs saying that,
oh, we have way too many characters being introduced into this film series, and we don't want another cluster F like Spider-Man 3, so why in the world are they introducing Rhino?
well, the thing I want to lay out to some people in regards to them bringing in Rhino, one of the things you have to notice is how they're introducing the Rhino in terms of like announcing him. Now, if Rhino was going to be a major focus character, if he was going to be like a major villain, they would have announced him right up there with Jamie Foxx. They would have announced this weeks ago, months ago. If it's a big part, if it's a big role, they tell you straight up front. However, considering the fact that they're announcing him so late, and the film is set to, it's going to start filming in next week. I honestly don't think Rhino is going to be much more than a bit part in the film. What do you think?
Well, there are multiple ways that this could go down, because while he is playing the Rhino, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's playing the Rhino per se. For example, when Scarlett Johansson started playing the Black Widow, she actually wasn't necessarily the Black Widow. She started off as a secretary, and it's not until it's revealed later that she is the Black Widow. It could be that we're going to meet the character who becomes the Rhino in a future film, or it could indeed be a small role. It could be the ultimate incarnation of Rhino, which was actually a guy in a robotic suit. It could be much like the Hulk was in the Avengers film. It could be a motion captured face on a CGI body. And they could go with even the design from the game, which actually had a human being genetically spliced together with a rhino, and that would certainly go with the whole parents angle, because his father's research into the cross-species genetics, and that would imply someone's been trying to continue it, and so there's a lot to consider there. Even if it's just a small part, it could affect the series in a big way, and it also doesn't mean that the character won't come back in the future to have some sort of impact.
Yeah, that's the that's the one thing that I actually like going into this. When people see like the name Rhino, the name Black Widow, they assume that they're gonna have like such a major role in it. Personally, to me, I'm not opposed to the idea of Rhino being like a Rhino or his alter ego, depending on which version they go for. What is Rhino's actual name? The guy Alec
Alexei, something like that. It's Russian.
Yeah, so we'll just call him Al for the time being. Like, if they were to introduce the human behind Al and then introduce him later in the film as a side villain, obviously, I think that would work out well. And it kind of does tie into Mark Webb had said he wanted to do for some time, and he'd wanted to grow the universe, which we have another piece of information to talk to you guys on that, which more or less confirms that statement that he said. Now let's move on to another casting decision. This one we don't have much concrete information on in regards to roles, so we're going to have to brainstorm a bit. Felicity Jones is currently in talks to play an unspecified character in the Amazing Spider-Man sequel. So, Danny, let's discuss. Who do you think it is?
All right. Well, a lot of people keep jumping the gun and assuming it's going to be Black Cat. They're going to throw in Black Cat. I don't think so. Simply because unless they're going to basically eliminate the possibility in and of itself that Black Cat is ever going to be any sort of romantic interest at all for Peter, which I actually wouldn't have too much of a problem with for various reasons. But I really don't think they're going to put Black Cat in this movie. Simply for the fact that, they've already got the whole Mary Jane thing coming up, and apparently, while it's not going to be very heavy and it's not going to be overly done, she is going to be kind of flirty with Peter, which MJ was in the comics, so that's understandable. And if you have her flirting with him, and then you have the whole situation with Gwen, and then you go ahead and toss the Black Cat in there, that's just going to bog the movie down. So unless they completely get rid of the love interest angle, I don't see that happening. But I do definitely see a possibility for her to play Betty Brant, Jameson's secretary. Now I know a lot of people have said she was a love interest too, but yeah, that it was like a very minor thing. It didn't have any kind of major lasting impact in the story, and it's also would definitely start to bring the Bugle into the world, and J. Jonah Jameson, and and who knows, we might even find out. If they're casting this late into the game, especially if it's a smaller part, we might find out that they actually have a Jameson in mind.
Be it J.K. Simmons or Ron Perlman, maybe. Oh, hey, a man can dream.
Yeah, dream. But J.K. Simmons has said that he'd be very interested to do it again and try and portray the character in a different way than he did before. So, we'd have to see what happens there. And Mark Webb is aware of that, he said. So. But I could see her playing Betty Brant, definitely. She does have the look of Betty Brant, too. But I could also honestly see her maybe playing Liz Allen.
That's a possibility.
Who was again for a short time a love interest for Peter Parker, who broke up with him upon graduation. But again, if they move beyond that, because it didn't have too long of an impact, and just establish that she's a schoolmate and that they've known each other for a while, that can work too. And the reason I say that is because Liz Allen does in fact eventually marry Harry Osborn. So,
planting the seeds.
Yes, that's another thing. But for now, we're not even sure if Ms. Jones is actually going to get a role or who she'll play, and so everything is complete speculation.
Mm-hmm.
She might decide she doesn't even want to do it, and they have to find someone else.
So take everything, again, as speculation. One thing, though, that Danny and I were talking about before we discussed this in regards to Felicity Jones, considering the fact that when it comes to cast members, the majority of the older cast is returning. Also, something that, for some reason whatsoever, I do not know why people were surprised at this at all, acting like this is a betrayal of the franchise. Martin Sheen is returning for Uncle Ben. Now, when people heard this, they automatically assumed that they were pulling some magic out of a hat, that they were going to bring back Uncle Ben, that he wasn't dead this whole time, even though, the logical person would think, if Uncle Ben's back, then majority of the time, since it's going to be dealing with his father, wouldn't that be a flashback?
Oh, definitely. Forgive me, I can't remember his name. Cliff Roberts.
Yeah.
Who played Uncle Ben in the first three movies? Again, played Uncle Ben in all three movies.
Yeah.
And each time it was new footage. So to say that him coming back means that somehow he's back from the dead, that's getting kind of ridiculous, to be honest.
Seriously. I looked at it, I'm just like, what? Like, what is there to indicate this?
But that's where resemblance comes in too, because Felicity Jones does in fact bear some resemblance to Sally Field, and so there is also a possibility of what if we go way back to when they were younger, and she's going to play a young Aunt May, and they're going to find someone else to also play a younger Ben.
James Franco.
Oh, no.
Be on your toes, man. I'm gonna keep bringing that up.
Yeah. There's a lot of possibilities for, what she could be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them necessarily have to be a huge part. None of them have to necessarily be a tiny part either.
But then you get the complaint of people saying, oh, they brought him in for no reason. Underused.
Well, yeah, but then what if she plays her again in other flashbacks? Or what if there's, I don't know.
something. And
something.
And then also leads into what I mentioned a bit earlier in this discussion. Mark Webb has been quoted many times that he's building the foundations for this film universe. That was one of the things going into The Amazing Spider-Man that, frankly, I think a lot of people have seemed to forget, which is why some people docked the film for it. In regards to building the universe, it was a story that would not be wrapped up all in one movie. So there were plot points established in the film. They were hinted at, and then they would be continued on in future films. As you guys know, this stuff dealing with the carjacker, the parents, Oscorp, all of that stuff. 3 major points that we'd see further expanded on in the upcoming film.